Hello, so basically I was bored and didn't have much on, so I thought I'd do another stream for today. Now, some of you might ask me to repeat this if you come in a bit late into the stream, but the reason I've got the Mark 7 on again is, I think I mentioned this on yesterday's stream, but there's a US channel with, I think it was Chris that linked the video on the Discord. There's a US channel that does sort of helmet shooting stuff, and this one ended up being way better than it was meant to be. Because lots of people didn't think this was equivalent to Kevlar 3A or whatever. Yeah, the Mike B one. And it was shot with, I think it was 9mm 45 ACP, was it 357 Magnum? And the Tokarev, 25, 762 by 25mm. And it ended up being way better than everybody made out this helmet was. So that was actually really good. Yeah, it's the Mike B video. Yeah, if you didn't hear, when I started the stream, Nate, I said I was a bit bored, so I said I'd just do another stream, because why not? Let's just adjust this slightly. It's got a bit caught in there. Let me undo that and redo it. It's done that thing where it's looped around like that. Right. What's that bit from? Strange. Don't think we have such a thing as Labour Day in the UK, but happy Labour Day if that's a thing then. And I work weekends, Nate. YouTube is my job during the week, and I also volunteer. I'm just going to have a look at this strap system and see if I can work out why it's a bit cocked up. But too late, this helmet for the Gulf War. This is a helmet from like the late, maybe like 2015 or something. These came out. I can't remember. I wonder if this one's got a sticker in that says. There's a serial number that sends a label. Helmet Combat Assault Mark 7, size large. Contract number, serial number, batch number. It's not actually got a date on it, but I think these were like 2015 or so they went into service. 2009, earlier than I thought. Right, I'm just going to see if I can get this strap untangled, because that's a bit irritating. It's pulled to the side like that, but as always, I can never get straps in helmets to be as I seem to want to have them. But so that bit should now thread through this bit. If I can get it to do it. Yeah, so I was pleasantly surprised, right, Peach? I ordered it a couple of days ago, Nate. I just mentioned it last night. If you're on about the well, I forgot the name of AFP or whatever it was, the Polish MP5 one that France invented. Yeah, no, you didn't miss anything, Mike, when you came on the stream, because I'm saying you came on like literally within a minute of me starting it, so there we go. Right, that should be sorted out now. There's a GP5 up there, look. Right above my head, you can see it there. What do you mean, a recover to the head? All right, cool, Mike. But yeah, so yeah, that was a very pleasant thing to learn, that this helmet is way better than everybody actually thought, and that it probably ends up being equivalent of a Pasket in terms of protection, which is actually quite good. So I'd probably actually use this helmet now, just because the line is a lot better in this, and it's got a lot better padding in. It's a really comfortable helmet. That's interesting. I'll definitely enjoy watching that, Mike. Makes a bit of a change. It's probably, I assume, a Czechoslovakian copy of the SSH-40, although I think Soviet films, there's a Czechoslovakian helmet, which is kind of like a hybrid of various helmets, so it might even be that one. No Zeppelin I don't, and I wouldn't get one at the moment, as said, because nowhere I can shoot the guns and anything. So there's no point paying all the licenses. I've got a gun safe if I ever wanted to apply for one. Mark 7. Britain doesn't technically have a Mark 8 helmet because they use that Cobra revised one, or whatever it's called, Cobra revision now. And that's like one they've bought under license kind of thing. So this was kind of the last gen Mark helmet in the sense of it being a British built one. But hopefully if Britain later on ends up building their own helmet again, then you get a Mark 8 that way. I'll have to search it up, Slender Spy, because with a lot of these helmets, I never know the names of them unless I look them up. So GK80. That's a Chinese one, is it? Yeah, looks like it'd be all right. I mean, assuming it's going to be pretty similar to all the other kind of steel pops. It kind of reminds me of the British Tortoise helmet, saying that. It looks a lot like the British Tortoise helmet. I think the shape of it's slightly different, but yeah, it looks like it'd be fine. I'm assuming like most, steel pot helmets, it might stop a pistol round if you're lucky. The M17 wasn't last night. The M17's on the shelf there, but I won't get it down right at the beginning because I've already got some stuff piled up on top of it again. What, you on about the GK80? That's interesting. From some of the pictures, it didn't look like it has the SSH40 shape. Other than eBay, I can't really think where you'd find a cover for them. I'm sure I've seen the Mark III covers on eBay. The GP5 is fine, just don't use the filters that come with them. Chris, if Chris is in the chat, yeah, he is, isn't he? Chris might be able to answer you that, Zero, because I really don't know, because some helmets actually have rails on them. Some you can glue the rails on, but others with the shape of them, they might be quite difficult to glue on rails. What's my favourite pistol? Well, obviously, other than a couple of replicas and air pistols, I don't own any pistols. But if I had to have a pistol, say like I was in somewhere like the US and I could own one for self-defense, something like the SIG P226 or, like the 9mm SIG one in that series, because it's just, a very well-built handgun with quite a decent mag capacity. That's cool, young rail enthusiast. Is it the one that's properly modelled on the SLR? Because I know you can get a couple of like foul airsoft guns, which are obviously just based on the generic FN version. Beretta 92 is also nice. Yep, I like both that and the SIG P226. I don't wear contacts when I'm filming. I'm not blind. See, if I take my glasses off, right, I can read the chat. It's just a bit blurry. With my eyesight, it's basically I'm short-sighted. So, like, see the text on there? This is a good example. If I squint, I can see the top line of that pretty clearly. And I know it's in Russian, so I obviously can't read it. But if I put my glasses on again, I can see all of that text on there, even small stuff, absolutely fine. It's just obviously I can't read it. But so yeah, I obviously use my glasses for driving, and I wear them most of the day just due to convenience. But I don't actually need glasses on if I've got a mask on or anything. And if I'm, say, shooting an airsoft rifle or whatever, not airsoft, sorry, an air rifle with a scope on it or something, with a gas mask on, as long as it's one where you can get the scope and, get a good sight picture, then that's fine because the scope is obviously focused to my eye. Lugers are very cool looking. Again, eBay, Slender Spy, loads and loads of stuff you can find on eBay. No, because my membership expired Soviet Films and I didn't see a point in renewing it because I think they're going to be a pretty dead political party now. But yeah, let's not go into politics just because it's divisive. Like I said, people are free to believe in whatever politics they want. Just don't shove it down each other's throats. They think it's cool, Nate. Most people, if you've got mates that collect stuff like this, think it's quite cool because they always want to come over and mess about with bits. Probably that Chinese pewter mask, sick dog, because it's the one where basically the pewter is the one where the straps keep pinging off and the mask is such a supple rubber, which might be nice in an inner face seal, don't get me wrong. But when you put a filter on it, the weight of the filter actually starts properly bending the mask. It's like with the PMG. Wow, that's a question where I might get into trouble if I answer that, wouldn't I? Hesra, if that's how I pronounce your name. UMP-45 score. I like a lot of the Heckler and Koch guns. I mean, the MP5 is the classic one, obviously. I know they made older guns than that, but the UMP-45 is basically similar to the MP5, isn't it? Just 45 ACP. I know they externally look different, but again, it's fine. But again, I've not shot any of them because I'm in the UK. But yeah, I'd say that's probably my worst mask, just because I don't think you could rely on it at all. Because I've got masks that don't fit me, but some of those masks, you know, if they fit me, they might be all right. But that pewter one is literally like it's going to fall off regardless, kind of thing. I don't like football Zeppelin. It seems a waste of time to me. So I wouldn't. Rugby, I sometimes watch when it's on. But football is one of those things I just really don't. Yeah, you found an old GP5. It's just lurking around in your house, is it? Thank you, Soviet Films, and thanks to everybody that subs. I hit that last night. Well, I'd call it football because I'm English, but the Americans call it soccer. So if you mean American football versus football, I'd rather watch rugby because rugby is kind of like American football without the armour on, so it's a bit more interesting. Right, you're asking very weird questions, so you're getting a timeout. If you keep that up, you know, you'll just get blocked because what's with this weird fetishistic questions? Oh, I don't think you meant to delete that comment, did you? Weapon collector. But snooker, as for snooker, again, I prefer pool because I can learn how to play. Pool's easier to play. My dad used to have a full-size snooker table that took up a massive bit of one of the rooms in the house. But again, snooker is all about different balls for different points and stuff like that, isn't it? Where pool is just you go for one colour of ball. When you say Irish Civil War, which one do you mean? The one with the black and tans in the 1920s or whenever it was? Or do you mean the Troubles? As for the Troubles, they had the Mark 1 and Mark 2 fragmentation vest. I've got the Mark 1 one. It's that giant green flak jacket I've got that's based off the American ones. That's cool, Baptiste. There's some people who I think have been here since like 1 or 2K subs. So the Troubles, yeah, the Mark 1 and Mark 2 fragmentation vests. Foster's. I haven't started drinking it yet, but there we go. And I don't consider Foster's a good beer. It's just there's loads of it in the fridge because my dad buys a massive crates of it. As I've said quite a few times with beer, I like a lot of Pilsners and that, bitters, because they have a lot more of a taste to them. A lot of lagers, not all of them, but obviously a lot of lagers like Foster's, I find they're just kind of almost tasteless. But, you know, at least I suppose it's got alcohol in it, but I don't particularly like getting drunk. I always like getting drunk to the point of being tipsy kind of thing. Yep, they changed the law, sadly, Hookerton. So it used to be you could legally, at one point, you could legally buy and sell them and all that sort of stuff and make them and all that. Then they changed the law to the point where you couldn't buy and sell them. I don't know if you could still legally make them. And now they've changed the law to the fact you're not allowed knuckle dusters full stop, even though nobody really goes around punching each other with knuckle dusters now. It's all, you know, knife crime with kitchen knives. And, you know, to add insult to injury and all that sort of stuff, anybody could easily get just a weighted bit of metal that they can grip in their hands and punch with that if they did want to hit somebody with knuckle dusters. Yeah, if you've got old glasses, which you don't mind destroying the frames on, because obviously these are new glasses and they're expensive, so I wouldn't dismantle them. But yeah, if you've got old glasses, or you can just buy the prescription lenses in a small size that are suited to your eyes. The problem is one of my eyes is better than the other eye, so it's not like I can just buy two of a standard thing. I mean, although I suppose in theory, I could just go for a number that's between each of my eyes. If you can just buy them as a cheap kind of thing, and then stick them in. If you're long-sighted, I think you can probably just buy cheap reading glasses and do that. Have what? If I had a knuckle duster, you'd have to get rid of them, sadly. Yeah, the stick grenade, it's been there for a while, Peach. It came Friday. I've got two, actually, because there's one on that shelf, but it's out of frame. So yeah, I can show you these a bit. So, Hungarian stick grenades. As I've not pulled the pin on this one, I'm not going to, because sadly you can't really put them back together again once you've done all that. So Hungarian stick grenade from World War II, although this is a Cold War produced one, but they built them for like 60 years or something. The pin is in that bit there, so you pull the pin from there, and then it's got one of those bottom bits that I think you have to twist to do the thing. You have to put the fuse in. So when it's already unarmed, it's like that, because the fuse has gone into the top now, but I'll just show you the bits in it. So there's your explosive head bit on it. It's quite light compared to the F1 grenades. And here's the wooden fuse. Why they use a wooden fuse, I don't know, but it goes in there like that. When you pull the pin and everything, it somehow burns the fuse pretty quickly. And then obviously once the burning fuse gets into the top, it detonates the grenade. Oh, this would be an explosive grenade, but they're deactivated. So what they've done is they've just hollowed out the... I don't know how they've actually done it in this one. I don't know if they cut the top off and then welded it back on. Because I can't really see how they've got into the, bit with the filler in it. But because there's nothing obvious on there that they've cut it open. I'm sure they have somehow. Maybe they got it through that bit, but... It is deactivated, but yeah, not sure how they did it. It says FTM 51 on there. If the camera wants to focus. There we go, FTM 51. No, I'm not a reenactor. I have with older glasses, and I wouldn't really recommend it because it just sort of crushes them into your nose. This one says FTM 51 as well, but there we go. Wine's alright. Some wines I prefer to others, but yeah, I've heard some people have been doing that. I definitely recommend that if you were wearing it for, like you say, reenactment things where you want the authentic looking filter, but you want something totally safe. I just find it interesting, a lot of this stuff, And again, if you've got spare money at points, there's a lot of people who end up collecting, other stuff. Just with any hobby of collecting stuff, don't let it get to the point of, where you end up spending too much money on it, because that's where it becomes, almost dangerous. A bit like, any other kind of addiction. I don't know, Drywall. I don't know what your old account's called, but if you made a stupid comment, you probably did. That's the problem, not so much Midnight. I have seen with some of the GP5 3D printed ones, people are like £20 plus for them. And at that price, I'd say just buy any filter you know is safe. Screw it onto the mask. If it's for reenactment, you can just literally force it on. And there you go. No, I'll Google that. I know the revision things where they're re-updating a lot of the equipment, isn't it? But they look very similar to those US ones. I'm sure they'd be pretty good, but if you were this person that kept spamming comments about what carpet have you got, what floor you got blocked, and it wasn't even me that blocked you, it was one of the mods, and they were totally justified in doing it. As I said, Zeppelin, I've got the flak jacket that was being mentioned. I've got like other British gear, like the SLRs from that period as well. Thanks, TJT. It's the one that nobody thought was all that good, and it turns out now people have done shooting tests on them. They are a lot better than everybody expected. So if you're in the UK or anywhere and you get Mark 7 helmets for like the £30 to £50 price range, they're definitely worth it for that. They're very comfortable helmets. As in an M249 not submachine gun, squad automatic weapon, as in the FN Minimi. No, I don't. There's no Nightbot on my channel, Peach. So twat warning just shows up as twat warning. Yeah, I've got a job. I've got several jobs. If that's what you're asking. Out of the two, Car 98K is worth a lot more, regardless if it's activated or deactivated. But I've got the Lee Enfield up there, and you know that does me for bolt action rifles that are deactivated. Favorite fast food restaurant? Probably KFC, but most of them I don't mind. It depends what you're getting. I don't really have a load of survival kits. As I said, at some point I'll do an updated EDC stuff and show what's in my car boot. But as I said, I'm not a prepper or anything, so I don't run around with, you know, like kits full of whatever. I'm not saying people are crazy if they do or anything. I'm just saying I've not got any need for them, so I've never built one. What's happened with them then? I've not had a KFC in years though. £400 random sod there or thereabouts. But yeah, pretty much all deactivated guns are stupid money now. The SLR, when I got that was under 400. They're like £1,000 now. And at the period I bought the SLR, you could buy a lot of other kind of battle rifles for like the £200 or £300 range. But now most of them are like £1,000 plus. I wouldn't even bother. Yeah, if you're in the scouts or something like that, it's good. In my car, I have a first aid kit and, you know, like all that sort of wheel change and stuff and that. But as I said, Mike, weapon collector on here, has done some good videos on. Tell you what I'm going to do. I just want to see what if the hoodie will go up over the helmet. Firefighter I find the most interesting, but maybe paramedic, because that's the easiest one to actually become, isn't it? Paramedic. But police, I'd be medically and firefighter medically unfit to serve. Actually, technically, firefighters have higher requirements, don't they, than the police? But I just want to see if this works. I suppose the chin strap won't go on rip with it unless I do this. But yeah, it's not gonna work. It's comfy though doing that. Makes it even more comfortable. But there you go. British Mark 7, the one, I think Chris said it was 2009 it was introduced. 2009 sort of being gotten rid of now for the Cobra revision one or whatever it's called. I think some are still in service by the sound of it. I don't think they've completely got them all out of service, but I assume it's territorials and that still have it. Right, for the person that's just spamming random comments, goodbye. It's not brilliant, but it's not awful. I'll get my Mark 6 is in my room at the moment, so I'll show it you. Not great, not terrible. There you go. I don't know if the Mark 6A has a different liner, but this one, it's got the two straps, which sort of join together at the back. It's got like a pad there, and it's got like lit foam that's relatively hard, like, you know, not very soft foam in it. I don't know if that's just because it's old. Again, a lot better than some of the like Mark III helmet liners for sure, but in terms of this helmet, it's not uncomfortable on your head or anything, but it's definitely not the best strap system in the world, I'll tell you that. But again, I've had some awful strap systems on masks, so not masks, helmets even. Yeah, that would need to be tightened, wouldn't it? But get that back under my chin. The Mark 6 has a problem where it likes to keep tilting forward. See, I've obviously done that up too tight. But yeah, it's actually more comfortable if you do that. But it has a problem where it either wants to keep tilting forwards or back. Definitely tilting forwards, if you see. So that's the problem with the strap system in this. What's the hairbrush grenade? Yeah, no, I didn't go to university because when I was at sixth form doing sixth form, like what you do in the UK before you go to university normally, although some people do college, the price of university went up massively to the point where lots of people decided it wasn't worth, their time doing it anymore. So whether or not I'd have gone, I don't know, but that was pretty much the deciding factor that I didn't want to pay $9,000 plus a year to get a degree that then wouldn't even guarantee me a job afterwards. So I just went into working as soon as I finished sixth form. Well, I only did the first year of sixth form, saying that because I couldn't be asked to do a second year. Right, I've just adjusted the back strap just to see if that will make this any. What's an IOTV? I'll look it up in a moment when I'm done fiddling around. But yeah, for what you're saying about the liner, yeah, not great in this. Just because it's, again, a liner system that you can't really adjust for a lot of head sizes. And this is in small. And even this helmet in small, it's not a... I need to loosen that one now. I don't buy a lot of aftermarket tactical gear, to be honest. I just normally buy Milsurp stuff. What's that you've linked, Peach? I'll Google that IOTV thing as well. Improved outer tactical vest. Never used one, obviously, because I'm in Britain and I'm not in the army. So that's the US military one, right? I've got the British Osprey Mark IV, which is the closest thing in my collection to anything like that. And I don't even think the Osprey Mark IV. That's a very weird looking grenade, isn't it, Peach? I suppose if it's a World War I one, it's a pretty early period grenade from like modern grenades. I certainly wouldn't pay £93 for a replica, though, like some of those replica sites want and things like that. In the UK, firearms are allowed, but there's lots and lots of rules and stuff around them. No theme on this one. Most of the time, I don't do streams with themes. About once a week or so, I do a theme stream or sometimes play a video game, but a lot of them is just people can chat about what they want. Of course, I remember it's like one of my most popular videos, Bello. I don't like a question like that, ABC, so I'll delete it. Because, again, that sounds a bit like you're asking for trouble. But you can own, in theory, things like 50 BMG and bolt action in the UK. Yeah, that's how I got my USM 40 finally, Nitec. Was when, with the USM 40s, they basically, ones in Germany, the US troops sold them, and because they are outside of America, you could buy it pretty much anywhere in Europe. What's that gun on the wall there, Drywall? Again, I think you're trolling. This is no wonder you got blocked the last time. Oh, there's an FN FOW in the background. Tell you what, fuck off, Drywall. There we go. Bye. Because you can't help yourself, can you? You were blocked the last time, and now I can understand why you were blocked. Because, again, you're asking questions about things that are obvious. That's good. That's probably, in all honesty, Miroslav, more than British troops get. I know when I last read about it, because there was a debate on the radio about it, or whatever, British soldiers aren't paid very much at all, sadly. Legal alternative to knuckle dusters. Well, as I said, there's lots of things you could hold in your hand, but I don't want to get into that, because that's where it sounds like you're encouraging people to do illegal stuff. But again, anything you could hold in your hand that has a bit of metal in front of it, like a carabiner or something, would be like that, wouldn't it? There's no reproduction GP5 filters. There are the 3D printed ones now, but when Amazon sellers say this is a replica or reproduction GP5, you know they're lying. But yeah, I think you blocked him, didn't you, on the last stream, Mike, because he was making stupid questions. And again, he's come on and then he just starts asking stupid questions. And then he's taking that attitude of, why am I blocked? Well, he's going, do you know? Because if it was just one comment, I think it would just be a person not knowing. But if they say something like, "Do you know what the company FN is?" and there's a FOW in the background, that one of their most famous rifles. Like, yeah, I wonder. As far as I'm aware, Richard, smoothbores all do come under a shotgun license. So yeah, I'm sure an elephant gun if it was smoothbore. Because people were saying tank guns, if you buy a surplus tank, you can still have a firing tank gun if you've got a shotgun license and it's a smoothbore tank gun. The thing that annoys me, like where people going, "What football team do you support?" How much a lot of footballers make. Not all of them, but obviously a lot of them are like quite whingy as well, especially the top footballers, where all they do is go fall over on the pitch during a World Cup match and pretend they've been hurt. If you look at the stupid amount of money they're paid compared to like emergency services, soldiers, and all people who are actually at risk every day, that's one of the reasons I just hate football, because I cannot understand why people who do something like that are paid so much. Right, I tell you what, I'll check eBay in case any of them are filtering onto there, because sometimes I've seen ones where you can't then get it for sale, in the UK, they don't ship. Let me type Fushida gas mask in first and see if any come up. Now, only the ones coming up are the A4s like I've got. Let's see if I search, I'm going to have to look up how it's spelled. Skied Mask 90. I know how it's roughly called. Okay, there we go. Right, let's put that into eBay and see if any results come up. Shower curtains come up for some reason, but no gas masks. Oh, sadly, it doesn't seem they filtered onto eBay yet. I've had no interest in the new Batman or Joker film or whatever it is. So yeah. I don't play Fortnite Baptiste, so I wouldn't get the joke. Cool, yeah, I'll have a look, because if they do say they ship to the UK and all that, and it's not outrageous postage, I'd consider it. But the problem is, when I've looked at lots of sites where people say, there's a Polish site that does this or whatever, a lot of the time they're like only selling to that country's market. So annoyingly, it ends up being a case of, even though it's on there and a good price, I can't buy it even though I've got the money. Never had a need to, Riley. I passed all of them, but you're trying to ask lots of personal questions there, aren't you? So goodbye. The old Soviet ones took a weird battery that I don't think you can get anymore unless you get like a thing that converts other batteries into them. The Polish ones, luckily, are D cells, but the old Soviet ones, I think, were a unique kind of battery they manufactured just for their military equipment. For those of you that don't know, a while ago I did an unblock amnesty, where people could be unblocked, and I did unlock a lot of people that wanted to be, and most of those all behaved fine, and they've been really good commenters. But I've stopped that now just because recently there's just been lots and lots of people getting blocked again for being obviously trollish or weird. So just a warning, if you get blocked, you're not getting unblocked. Nope. Luckily we've got a telephone thing that makes it really hard for scam calls to come through, because somebody has to go to a lot of effort of pressing buttons and leaving a message before it will let them either leave an answer phone message or ring in. But yeah, we used to get loads of like scam calls and whatever, but I sometimes get it where random numbers phone my mobile, so I just let them ring until they stop ringing, and then I just block the number. How would you get blocked? By being an idiot, basically. It's kind of good they do that, isn't it, Mirosav? Or sorry, Myrolsav. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Apologies, but I think giving, especially if it's a recognised thing like PTS and all that, kind of like a disability benefit for people is a good thing, because it is kind of criminal with a lot of soldiers. They can serve in the army, they can come out and then they're totally abandoned, and a lot of them become homeless and drug addicts. They do in the UK because obviously they kind of pretend a lot of these things don't exist, or that, you know, they're not as bad as the soldiers make out and all that. I think Sweden does have some very good kind of socialized policies, don't they, towards lots of healthcare things. But again, I don't know because I'm not in Sweden. Like the NHS, not the NHS, sorry, England and like the UK is a very mixed bag with a lot of that stuff. They do lots of stuff in the UK that is very good social stuff, and then they do other stuff that's really bad. And often it depends on which the current government you have in is, depending on how well funded social services are. But because I've got disabled friends, I know that like the DWP and all that is pretty criminal with people who are obviously disabled not getting their disability benefits, because they try and make out, oh, those disabled people aren't disabled enough, even though some of them wouldn't be able to work full-time or even part-time. And, you know, all the doctors know that they're disabled, and doctors will write in on their behalf and all that. And then the DWP is still like, oh, we don't recognise that as a proper disability or whatever. I've watched some of his videos, but I'm not all that interested in MREs, because people keep saying to me, can I buy a certain MRE and review it? I'm like, no, because I don't find MREs interesting and they're often expensive. All right now? Yeah, but they'd never, people like Wayne Rooney would never take up anybody on that would actually beat him up, would they? They're like the plastic kind of hard men, you know, the ones that like to threaten people but never expect anything to come of it. Oh, that's good. Miroslav, if that I've still done it right, because but don't be mean to him, Swan. He can say stuff like that if he wants to. I mean, I thought that a bit about cheek filters, just ink, but recently I've done a video, and it won't be live till near the end of this month, where I look at all the cheek filter masks I've got, and I kind of reevaluate them. And the M17 is a lot better than I originally thought, just because I had a US vet that I talk to sometimes. I trust his opinions, explaining why he thought it was a good mask, and he made a lot of valid points. So. No, I don't have any tattoos. I sometimes think about getting them, but I've never bothered. Mostly just because for my first tattoo, I'd rather get like one of my friends who can do that sort of stuff to do it. And whenever I've asked them, they've never been that fussed about doing one. So I'd probably just get something quite simple. But again, I can't be asked to go out to a tattoo studio and pay however much it is they charge per hour to even get a small tattoo done. Again, I don't mind people that have got tattoos. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I find some of the facial tattoos quite strange when people get those, but you know, when people get like arm tattoos, chest tattoos, whatever, that doesn't bother me at all. But like I said, it's the person's own choice. I just find lots of facial piercings and tattoos on the face very strange when people do that. Now, in your opinion, Iron Man, again, it's all down to opinion, isn't it? You could say it's a waste of money, and something people could think they're the best thing ever. I wouldn't mind getting a gas mask tattoo, to be honest, but again, I wouldn't want to pay stupid money to get one that has to be done in several sessions or whatever. I'm kind of tempted to get a Mark IV tattoo if I got one, but no, I don't regret buying any of them because I collect them, but there's some I certainly wouldn't think they're a good thing to actually use. All right, cool, Henry. How much sort of does that cost then for the size of one you want and all that? And is it a black and white one, or is it you know, like a coloured one? Because I know there's lots of things that alter the price of them, don't they? Just Foster's Iron Man. Forgot I had. Don't know if there's any I forgot I've owned. to be honest. I'm trying to think if there's any I've recently. Sometimes I'm like, why did I store it in this place? But that's just because I've got so many masks they're hard to all store. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had any that I've. I won't go on like that. That's a shame. Cheers. Yeah, I ended up dyeing one of those old Serbian jackets to get the colours better because sadly the dyes aren't very good. But I have got either one Serbian M89 or M93, whichever one it is, that is actually really still well coloured. And it was one because sadly it's closed now, but there used to be a good army surplus store near me. You could actually go in there and look through all the camo and find the ones that weren't faded or ripped. Yeah, I'd be very angry if that happened, Richard. All right, cool, Mike. So is that 450 or 900 in total? But yeah, I suppose if it's something you really want, you've kind of got it for the rest of your life, haven't you? You might have to have it touched up like decades down the line, but yeah, like so it's one of those things where if people have got the money and they don't mind, it's completely down to them. But it's one of those things I find very strange when people get very funny about it either way, kind of thing. That's because I'm quite libertarian. Yes, of course I know how to swim, Iron Man. Yeah, an XM28 tattoo would look cool. Something Berlin. Are you saying you're from Berlin, MV East Coast? I don't speak German very well, so. Sadly, though, that would only protect you from stuff coming down on it like that, wouldn't it? It wouldn't do anything if anything hit you there. Yeah, or some people never get any, do they, Mike? But yeah, I think it all really depends, doesn't it? There's lots of people I know that have got a single tattoo and keep saying, I wouldn't mind getting another, and then they never do it anyway, like that. Yeah, a bug out boat would be cool, but the only thing is, Oxford area, a lot of it's canals, and you'd be very vulnerable, wouldn't you, trying to, in a shit at the fan thing, go down a canal in a longboat, where I know you don't have to use longboats on the canals, you can use other small boats, but I just think you'd be very vulnerable, because literally somebody could hit you with a long pole from the shores, or just jump onto your boat. Yeah, you always say nice hats, don't you, Jasmine? But hello. No worry, PC Dragon. Thanks for looking. But yeah, it's like I said, that's the annoying thing at the moment. I'm trying to buy some ECBA armor. There's one I put a bid on last night, and it ended up going over the bid. Like somebody had an auto bid on it over like the max I'd put in. So I thought, right, I'm not going to go any higher on that. And then there's another one I've put a bid on, but it's still going to be on there for a few days. So I bet that will go over the max I want to pay. It's just the annoying thing with ECBAs is they're one of those things that quite often you can get at a good price, but most of the time people are wanting loads of money for them, or like one seller is demanding to sell the plate separately from the carrier, even though surely they could ask more for it if they bundled them together. The East German MPI AKs are very cool, but I've got a Yugo M72 RPK. But obviously, because I'm in the UK and can't shoot anything like an AK, I've never really looked into it more. I suppose in places like the US where you can own AKs, there's a lot more kind of incentive to research the varieties of AK. That's cool, Henry, yeah. I don't know what the laws are in the UK regarding tattoos. I mean, I've never looked them up, but I know people who are certainly under 18 who have got tattoos, and they've definitely had them professionally done. And yeah, that's the thing as well with the Vest PC Dragon, is the annoying thing, it's one of those things where sometimes when I've not been looking for one, somebody will come on and say, "Oh, I managed to snag, an MC, one of those ECBAs, whatever they're called, for like £40 on eBay the other day." And think, "Oh, for fuck's sake, I could have got that if I was looking on eBay at the time." Oh, it is 18, is it? But yeah, that's obviously not an enforced thing because loads of people have tattoos that aren't 18. I just try and get any helmets I can when I see them at a good price, but sadly that means there's often not that much you can find. On eBay, most of the time in the UK, British helmets are very easy to get. Lots of old Cold War helmets are very easy to get just because they were mass produced and sold like any other surplus. But American stuff is pretty much non-existent or is exorbitantly expensive. And lots of modern Kevlar helmets from other countries will turn up on eBay, but they'll often be like £400 a helmet, which I'd never pay. Yeah, with a lot of the people I know have got tattoos, they're probably ones who have known somebody who knows, like a tattoo parlor person. They just do it because they know they'll never make a complaint about it. Anybody could die and shit at the fan from a minor wound because of no antibiotics. It's only been since the 40s or whenever that, people have had antibiotics, like proper antibiotics. Through most of history, if you got a nasty enough infection, you died. Yeah, sadly, Henry, that's the only reason I don't really go on there anymore. I used to go on there before it was a lot less volatile, but it was just turning into more and more of the same threads all the time, and then I stopped going there. And then loads of people on there took it personally just because I didn't go on there. And then, by taking it personally, like I said, I don't want to get involved in e-drama stuff, but I'm just going to tell this from my perspective of it. It seemed lots of people, because they started getting very funny at me for not going on there, they only just, encouraged me not to go on there more. Because the only reason I didn't go on there a lot originally was just because I got fed up of all the threads about GP5s and whatever else. Yeah, that's quite cool. But yeah, there's nothing like that in the UK. There's certain calibers that are allowed to be semi-automatic, and then others that are forced to be, like either bolt action or, you have to charge it every shot with like a disassembled gas assembly or whatever. Yeah, there's things they could do, Iron Man, but once you've got the infection, it's too late, isn't it? Because once something is in your bloodstream and it's spreading, you can't do it because honey's an antibiotic. So lots of people used to know to put honey on a cut. But the thing is, unless you do that fast enough, it's too late then. And things like respiratory illnesses and things like that would still get you. Overrated besides the GP5. That's interesting. So it'll have to be a mask that's all right, but nothing special, I guess. Because if it's a really good mask and lots of people like it, I wouldn't really class that as overrated. It's a good, very good question. I'm just looking at all my masks now to see if there's any that stand out. But I really can't think. You've got me there. Because GP5s are kind of in the league of their own, aren't they? Where all the little kids kind of buy them. I know loads of other people do. And then they can't stop going on about the GP5, despite the fact there's so many other masks around. When you say a finished issued M40, I assume you mean a helmet, do you? Not an M40 gas mask. I've already got one. That's actually really good then, Chris, because it would be good. Like I said, I definitely think that would be a good place if, like you say, it takes that route where it goes back to being informative things and stuff like that. But I've had a bit of a problem with Reddits in general because there's been other Reddits I used to post on quite a lot. And I used to find on a lot of Reddits, like the whole thumbs up, thumbs down thing was just applied completely randomly. And I always used to get frustrated that if somebody asked for something, you give them a long, detailed answer, then they'd thumb you down and other people would thumb you down because that's too much effort. I don't want to do this. I want a quick fix solution that won't work. But yeah, that does sound very good that it's going back to that. But like I say, you should definitely get your information from multiple places. Because, like I've said to other people, don't listen to everything I say as gospel, because my opinions change on things, and they're my opinions. What I'm trying to be a lot more sort of better at in newer videos is saying, in my opinion, this or my opinion that, just so people don't take what I'm saying as fact as often. That's sort of interesting, Chris. I'll definitely try and remember to take a look at some point. Yeah, who knows, Mike? But yeah, Reddit's are really strange like that. When I was a lot younger, I used to go on a lot of forums that were really good forums, but this is, back in the old bulletin board style of forums, which I don't think are such a thing anymore, are they? Because it's like Reddit, 4chan, and all those sites. It seems that there's a lot less kind of things of traditional internet forums, where people tended to stick around for a long time and all that, where, it's a lot harder for people to make throwaway accounts to start arguments and things like that. I've done videos like that before, Jesus, but I could try and do another one if you're interested in. I could do, like, get loads of masks from different nations and sort of show them all and show how they varied. Yeah, like I say, the main issue I've had with Reddit, Chris, is basically, I think in theory the platform could work. And part of the problem I have with Reddit as well is they constantly change how it works. With like the interface and all this. And one of the things I really hate with Reddit, if I ever look at anything on Reddit on my phone through Chrome, every time it always says, "Don't you want to install the Reddit app?" and shoves it in your face. Whenever I've used the Reddit app, it's been shit. And even though I'm very happy browsing with Chrome, you always have to tell it no every time. But as I said, the main thing I hated about Reddit is on loads of subreddits, you could give somebody good advice that you spent ages typing out and you'd get downvoted. And then somebody would basically come up with a snake oil solution that would get upvoted. And then on lots of other Reddits, people who posted meme images get way more upvotes than the people having serious conversations, which, I always thought, well, I don't want to see the same memes posted over and over. Polish FP5 filters one, or modern Russian or Chinese filters are meant to also be good. Yeah, I can show the Shum 41 then. What I could do then is do like 1960s commonly issued masks of the Cold War, and I can have like the M17 for the US, the S6 for the UK, the Shum 41 and its derivatives, and show some of the other Soviet masks to go along with it. Because the only problem with the Warsaw Pact is lots of the Warsaw Pact countries just use the Shum 41 or, other Shum derivatives that the Russians did. But totally down to opinion, I guess, Bellow Man. My favourite's the CT12. It's probably not even my best mask at this point. It's just my favourite. So yeah, NATO countries varied a bit more because I could have like the M65 for Germany, the M51 for France. They varied a lot more. But the issue was with obviously the USSR was just that, that most of the satellite states, not all of them, like Hungary didn't, but I don't have a Hungarian M67. I've got the M76, which I could show in this video and just say there was a slight change in the military version. But lots of the Warsaw Pact satellites basically just made, the same masks they were told to by Russia or the Soviets. Steam forums are cancer as well. What I really hate, this isn't just Steam forums, but any forum where you've got a technical problem with a game or anything, you search the problem up, and then it's always the whole "it works for me" post, or "your computer's shit, get a better computer," or no matter what the problem is, nobody ever wants to actually say, "here is how to actually fix it." And there's a bug in the software or whatever, and you have to do a workaround. It's "works fine for me, get a better PC," Or the really annoying one on old forums is where somebody would edit their post to say "fixed it," and they wouldn't say how they did it. That's really infuriating. It's just really, really infuriating. Oh, that's a very good price. Do Allegro actually ship to the UK though? But that might be a good option for people in Poland at least. That's cool. I'll definitely have another look at Allegro. because it might be good for getting other kind of Polish stuff on there. Yeah, the P22 1W filter, which is a bit like that FP203, is only 9.90 zloty, as in like 9.90 zloty. So what? That's like £2, isn't it? Oh, there's some cool looking filters on here. There's a cool looking Fraser filter. Military. Let's have a look at all the stuff that comes up. I'll go to uniforms because a lot of this stuff is like random stuff I wouldn't even be able to get in the UK. Yeah, and like 25 zloty for a Polish MP4, so that's £5. An MC1 is only essentially 12 zloty, so that is what, like £2 something. Again, much cheaper. You can get an MC1 here, even though they are dirt cheap here. AK bayonet for 169 zloty. So that isn't really much difference, I think, from the UK price of buying an AK bayonet. Some rucksacks for 59 zloty. That's pretty good, because that's like £10 or something, isn't it? What looks like a waterproof NBC suit for 9 zloty. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on there. There's, for whatever reason, a British S10 haversack. And I'm just going to look at the label. Yep, it is actually a British haversack because it's a label in English with all the bits on it for some reason on there. But they're 10 zloty, so you could buy an S10 satchel for £2. 30 odd pounds plus, I guess, khaki deer. It's hard to say because they're not sold all that frequently, but generally they seem to be about £30 plus. So I guess unless it's torn to shreds, you could at least get 30 for it. Because the nose flaps, the flapper valves, you can replace. Because, for example, my civilian duty mask actually has a Mickey Mouse flapper valve on it because obviously the original one broke or they didn't have enough in the factory, so they just stuck a red one on there. Well, there's no physical surplus shops near me, sadly, anymore. Well, the C7 I wouldn't breathe through, but it's kind of cool looking, but sadly, your civilian lives aren't worth shit, so we're not making you a mask. Anyway, I'll be off in 2 minutes because Weapon Collector's going to stream on Twitch at 10, and I don't want to hold him up streaming or distract people from watching his thing. Yeah, I'd agree with you there, Richard. It's a shame, isn't it? But on lots of these things, it's like with YouTube comments, though. Sometimes what I really like is, say I've got an opinion on the gas mask. Somebody can come on a video, make a really good load of points about why they disagree with me, and it might change my opinion, or at least gives me stuff to consider. But so many people are just like, fuck you, you're wrong. Fuck you, nerd. You know, it's that kind of thing where you're like, if you had an argument and you were polite, you might change my mind. You're not going to do it if you just insult me. Right, I'll click your link now, Mike, so it's up and ready. Oh, you need a 10 p.m. Right, I'll go for a few minutes more then, Mike. But yeah, see you if you're off, Miroslav. But yeah. What about Nexus mods, Charles? I know there's like Nexus mods for like Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind and Fallout 3 and all that. But yeah, like I said, there used to be a surplus store near me that was good. They've still got an eBay page, but they've closed down as a surplus store now because they were just saying like the rent was too expensive. And they were saying a lot of the Milsurp stuff now is getting like less profit margins for them, you know. So they'd have to sell it at really expensive prices to make a decent profit. So it's getting to, because I was chatting with a bloke before it closed down. And I said, it is a shame, isn't it? Because I said eBay's great for buying a lot of this stuff online, but it is a real shame that, you know, it ends up meaning that surplus stores can't exist. Because like I said, the thing I really like with that surplus store is before they closed down, I ended up buying shitloads of camo and like field gear, just because it's really nice to actually be able to look through all the shirts and find the ones that aren't faded or don't have torn bits in them or whatever else. Whereas, you know, with a lot of stuff, if you buy it on eBay, if you buy a camo jacket, for example, camo trousers, they could be really faded or they could look brand new. And it's like, you know, you're completely rolling the dice. And with eBay things, you can't really send them back, can you, and ask for a refund and say the camo was more faded than I wanted. Yeah, it was either destroyed after the war, lots of countries used it, and because it's got a swastika on it, lots of it, that incredibly increases the price, sadly. One of my granddad's biggest regrets from World War II is that they weren't allowed to keep all the Hitler Youth and SS knives they looted. I don't know if looted is the correct term. Is it acquired or whatever? Is the PC term for soldiers looting stuff? But they found crates and crates near the end of the war in an attic of all these sort of, you know, like ceremonial Nazi knives, and all of the men took loads each, but then the MPs took it off them before they came back. And I was saying to him, that is such a shame, isn't it? Because if you wanted to sell those now, you could keep a couple, and you could probably get £100 each for them easily. No, I've never been ripped off of buying gas masks. I've had lots of things not turn up and that, and then you have to go for a refund. But I've never had like somebody sell me something and get a completely wrong thing or whatever. That's good of trouble, man. But yeah, it's just a shame my local one's closed down, and it wasn't even as local as it used to be. Because I used to be in one place, and then they had to move, I think, due to rents. And then they were in this other place for a couple of years, and then sadly, again, you know, they had to just stop, full stop, just because it just got to the stage, you know, where they were saying the rent on all the places is going up, and our profit margins keep getting smaller and smaller. I think probably 70 odd at once on one stream, Gary. But that's quite rare. It just depends often what time you're doing the stream, how free a lot of people are, how well YouTube sends out the notifications, because sometimes people get notifications, sometimes they don't. I suppose, yeah, M10s then maybe are the most overrated gas mask after the GP5, who was ever asking that question. Because M10s aren't as good as M17s, just because you'll see why. I outline a few reasons in the video when that comes out at the end of the month for all the cheek filter masks. I think actually out of all the communist direct copies of the M17, the best one was actually probably the Polish MP4, just because the Polish MP4 is closest to the original M17, and they've not done weird changes to a lot of the bits and just made them worse. Favourite thing besides gas masks? Probably like swords and rifles and things, but sadly they're a lot more expensive. Yeah, so that's definitely a scamming seller, isn't it? Or just an idiot seller. Because, yeah, the M2 obviously is 40mm, isn't it? The M1 is 60mm, and the M2 is smaller around all the face bits. Which M1 gas mask bellows, man? The Yugoslavian M1? Or any of the other masks designated M1? Because M1 just literally means Model 1 gas mask if it's applied to a gas mask. So the US has probably had several M1 masks. Yugoslavia had an M1, and I'm sure there's other countries that have had M1s. There's a Soviet MM1 there as well. Yeah, definitely like 70s or 80s, as Richard said. There was one where I got loads of people on, but sadly, often, I mean, when less people are on, it's sort of good because you can have a better conversation with people, but in general, it seems YouTube is never very good at sending out notifications for streams or whatever else. Also, before we finish this stream, don't forget to give it a like, everybody, please, because obviously giving the streams a like seems to help YouTube share them more because it counts it as an interaction. Thanks. Also, I'll shield the merch here. So if you're interested in merchandise, there's a Teespring link below. I need to even this out, don't I? Because this is, there we go. Doing that funny thing where that's uneven on each side. So there's a Teespring link below, or you can donate via Super Chat or Patreon below. So there you go. I just thought I'd say that for anybody that was wondering if they could support the channel. Yeah, same for me, Charles. And sometimes it's tempting after I've been paid, even though I've got real things I need to spend the money on, going, oh, I do really want that on eBay. Right, see you, Bellow Man. Oh, Yugoslavian. Yeah, I've got videos on the Yugo M1. It's just a copy of the USM9, though. When you say a gun bayonet, do you just mean a bayonet? I don't have a gun with a bayonet built into it, but if you mean just bayonets as in bayonets, let me get one out for you before I end the stream. Here's one of my favourite bayonets. The Swiss one that was for the Sturmgewehr 57 or the SIG 510. Just a massive steel knife, basically. Well, you buy them on eBay is the easy question for that Atomic CS. With FM12s, make sure you check the description because some FM12s are ones with only one filter port on either side, some of the dual filter versions. As for the CT12, as far as I'm aware, all CT12s are dual filters. Yeah, I hate people that modify old stuff like that. When it's modern stuff that's still being produced, it doesn't bother me because if they've got the money to do it, you know, it doesn't matter, really. But yeah, when you see something that's incredibly rare, or it doesn't even have to be that rare, but, you know, just something that's not produced anymore, somebody buys it and just fucks it up. The one that really annoys me still to this day was a guy who bought an East German MPI AK with the really cool, like, kind of Bakelite furniture on it, or plastic furniture it is. It has, like, unique looking furniture on the East German AKs. And apparently, according to people who I asked about this, you can take the furniture off, right, without damaging it. You can literally, you know, disassemble the gun, strip the gun, take all the furniture off, and then replace it with whatever furniture you want. This guy got a fucking hammer. He hit the furniture till it all smashed off, you know, completely shattered, and then put an M4 stock and an M4 style grip on the AK. Again, if you're going to do that, that's fine. You've bought the AK. You can put those grips and stocks on them if you want, but don't fucking get a hammer and smash the original. And they're valuable as well. He could have sold those to somebody. Do you know a lot of films, GDR Dog, actually use DDR uniforms in place of Nazi uniforms because most people can't tell the difference? It's either Bakelite or Bakelite, however you want to pronounce it, or plastic. I'm not sure, but it's an East German AK. If you look them up, it's the furniture they have. Stahlhelm fire helmets, though, aren't rare, Gary, so that wouldn't bother me because they were really mass-produced and some areas of Germany still use them because a lot of the early ones were military ones converted from military helmets into fire helmets, and then later on, like mine, they just made aluminium versions of the Stahlhelm. But, you know, if you took that apart, so it was just literally a Stahlhelm without the visor and the leather bit at the back, you could literally just, you know, paint it grey or whatever, and it would look like a Stahlhelm. Yeah, especially, Richard, if it's something, again, not built anymore, because that's where it gets very frustrating, isn't it? It's the fact that it's something you can't get anymore. There's people who have a genuine use for it and would probably pay good money for it, and people just fucking scrap them or, you know, break them because why not? Yeah, if he wanted to, why didn't he just buy a reproduction SS uniform that already existed rather than cutting up a DDR uniform to convert it? What bayonets do you have, Peach? You have the Smully Spike, the Smelly Spike from the Lee Enfield, yeah? I've got one of those, but it doesn't fit mine because it's for the number 4, not number 1. I've got the... You've got an AK bayonet, haven't you, as well, I think? But yeah, my bayonets, I've got this one. I've got a VZ58 bayonet. I've got East German AKM bayonet. I've got the Lee Enfield Spike bayonet. Do I have any others? I'm trying to think. Don't think I've got that many. Again, it's one of those things I really ought to look for more often, because if I see one for the £20-30 price range for something like this, I'd definitely pick one up. What's an imbow? I don't have an imbow, whatever that is. I've got an SLR behind me and a Lee Enfield, no imbow. The giant Lee Enfield bayonets are really cool, but the Spike did the job and it was cheap to produce, so that's why they made them, because for the purpose of running somebody through with a bayonet, a Spike is just as good. So AK-47, AKM, AK-74, Mosin, smelly, and a musket style one. Oh, like a cool old socket bayonet, yeah. Max, my mate, Max has got one of those. When you say AK-47 and AKM bayonet, are they two separate ones, or is it just two varieties of AKM bayonet, or is one like the original AK as in the AK-47 before they started mass producing the AKM? Interesting regardless, I'm just sort of curious on that. I've got a Dacia Sandero Delta Gaming, and I'm going off in a moment. Oh, I bought it. Was it you, Delta Gaming, that recommended me that book, or was it somebody else? Because I bought it now. So thank you if it was you, because yeah, on the Amazon page, if it was you that linked them, those books were like £7. And it should be coming tomorrow, I think. Oh, that's good, Delta. I'm glad. Right, I'm going to be going off now anyway, because Mike's stream is about to start. Yeah, weirdly, the helmets that are replacing this one, the Cobras, they've got like weird face masks that attach to them. And that's called Peach. It's the original AK bayonet. Right, I'm off. Thanks, everybody. And 30 to 60 plus pounds, I guess, Atomic CS. You don't see them very often, so it's hard to judge what a good price is for them. Right, I'm off. I'll be on Weapon Collector stream. See you, everybody. Goodbye.